Get ready. It's time for Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Kuso. And I am here with my co host, Jeanette Diva J. Horge Smith. Welcome back to the fourth hour of the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy to be here.
You're pulling double duty. You were here with us for the third hour of the show.
Yes, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. But first, to our radio listening audience, our internet, Lord have mercy, our social media fans. I know you all are used to seeing my co-host on the fourth hour of the show, Linda Archie, Al Diva of Al Diva Couture Boutiques. Please, we solicit your prayers. She lost her lovely sister and will not be on the show today. Is looking forward to coming back when she can, but she has some information that she will share with us, you all. She's our go-to person for our t-shirts and all other sorts of fashion and jewelry. So she will be coming back to us with a Super Bowl 55 line of shirts that you'll be able to order ASAP. We love you, Aldiva. We miss you, and you are in our thoughts and prayers. So here we are, the fourth hour of the show. Our guest today, Angie, is back. You all know and love him in the Tampa Bay area. We won't even say how much they love him in Baton Rouge and then all over this world. Welcome to Let's Talk Business today, Michael Clayton.
Michelle, how you doing today? Jeanette, pleasure to be with you guys today. I'm honored
Oh,
to spend some time. I've watched your show multiple times, and you guys have fun, very informative, and it is an honor and pleasure to be with you today.
well, thank you. And we appreciate the support because we're used to seeing you on Mic'd Up, and you're the one that's disseminating information out to the community. Even though the show is called Mic'd Up, you know what? I was thinking it should be called Motivational Mondays. When you share with us, and that's part of the conversation later on in the show, but to those, and I'm sure there are far and few, maybe a sprinkle. Look at that. Look at there. It's mic'd up. It's mic'd up Mondays, but he's the one that just shares all kind of inspiration and motivational tidbits, Diva J, that will help us tremendously. So I like that. That's my admin behind the scenes working. So that's the face that you're used to seeing. And we're going to get into the man, the mogul, the brand. And before that, and before we just heap all of these accolades that you have earned using your God given talents, skills, and abilities. But Michael Clayton, what we'd like to know before we get to that point, who is Michael Clayton? Who is this son and this brother or uncle long before there was collegiate football?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'm a man of God.
Whoop, whoop.
My my faith is everything to me. It's the reason why I am who I am. The reason why I feel that I can support the people that I do support and serve the people that I do serve. So first and foremost, I'm a man of faith. Second of all, I am a husband, married 15 years, uh, father of 15 years married, father of five, four girls, one boy, and a loving son. My parents live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My siblings still live in Louisiana, and one of my siblings lives in Texas. But you know, I just was fortunate enough to have very great parents, and I was raised in a family that taught us love, that showed us love, and how to be humble. And my dad was my biggest inspiration in my life, teaching me how to work every day and provide for a family. And I was very fortunate to have great parents to kind of steer me in that right path. Now, I tell everybody now, I'm 38 years old now. I was a knucklehead the majority of my life. But I had some parents that knew how to crack that whip and get me in line when I needed to get in line. And the seeds that they planted in me long ago have finally taken root. And have I like to say grown into trees now, and
Oh,
we're standing firm now.
what a beautiful tribute to your parents. Because as parents, Jeanette, Diva J, a newly parent, I still say newlywed. What a tribute to your parents, and the fact that it's good. It's okay to say cracking the whip. Because I know,
Yeah.
Lord, I had my share. It was a belt. It was a belt. And so I come from a family like that. So faith is foremost. And Diva J, let them know a little bit about who you are, woman of faith and family.
Absolutely, absolutely. God is always first. So from West Tampa, of course, born and raised in Tampa, Florida, youngest of six. So it's five girls, one boy. So I can kind of understand what that household feels like. So you're a lucky guy with all those girls on your hands. Of course, I went to Howard University, the Mecca. Always have to represent for Howard, especially given our newest vice president. Was living in DC for about 12 years, started Dash coordinating and marketing in 2011. And now, 10 years later, my husband and I have come back to Tampa to make a difference in our community. And we are doing just that. Of course, keeping God first, being ambitious, being in the room, and being a resource to anyone that we can help. So we love it. We have our 3-year-old son and maybe some more on the way. So
Hey,
here to
that's what I
have
like to hear.
here to grow the family, here to just be a part of the community. So I'm happy to be back.
and
That's
and
awesome.
that's a wonderful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And we're going to talk a little bit more with Diva J, because I'm going to be the first one to say Diva J's grandmother, Michael Clayton, is the biggest Buccaneer, which is sports in general, but Buccaneer fan you will ever meet.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
She has a Buccaneer, when you say museum, in her home.
Yes. Yes. No, this is true. Ever since I grew up, she's always had a Buccaneers room. My grandmother is in her 80s. She
Yes.
is quarantined in her room, but still having Super Bowl block parties outside of her house. This is a big deal. I mean, my family is hanging, as dangerous as this might be, they're hanging Buccaneer flags from the electric wires. They're barbecuing, frying fish, they're putting their lives on the line, um,
Yeah.
all for the sake of the Bucks getting there. So it was, to say the least, a very big celebration on Arch Street.
That
That's right. That's
that
right.
that that's all. That's awesome to hear. As long as they're not barbecuing on the electrical wires, I think
Nah, nah.
they'll be fine.
No,
They'll
but
be
when you
fine.
turn
But
that corner,
it's great to see the excitement in Tampa Bay behind the Bucks.
you'll smell that barbecue. But I want you to know that we are all podcasters with In Touch News, and so shout out to DJ CEO in Tampa Bay, Tammy. And let us take this moment professionally to welcome our new podcaster, Mike, Mike Mondays with Mike, and we appreciate that, and we welcome you to the In Touch News family, sir.
Yes, yes. It was great to kind of get that push from Tampa Bay Tammy. She called me and says, "You doing a podcast?" I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, you doing a podcast." I said, "Well, when?" She said, "I don't know. You tell me. Once a week." And I said, "All right, on Monday." She's like, "Well, when you gonna start?" I said, "I'll start tomorrow." She said,
Whoa.
"Good." She made the full screen and put it in motion. But I've been knowing Tampa Bay Tammy and Mr. CEO,
Yeah,
DJ CEO,
that's right.
for a very long time, since I was drafted in 2004. They've always been pillars in the community, and definitely an outlet of information of what's going on. And I've kind of hugged them tight throughout my career here in Tampa. They did spend some time in Louisiana, so we got
Yeah.
some great stories of them seeing some of my pictures up on some walls and restaurants in Baton Rouge, and they got a dose of how I was, beloved in Baton Rouge, in my own hometown, for everything that I helped my university accomplish. And I've always just kept Tammy and Daryl close, because they're very good friends of mine, and they want things. Not often do you meet people who want things to work out in your best interest. And Tammy and Daryl definitely have done that throughout my career, and I'm honored to be on their platform, sharing what God puts on my heart.
That is awesome. And we echo those sentiments because you're right. They're the ones that will push you right there. And
Absolutely.
so
Yes.
you become a podcast. DBJ knows from firsthand.
Oh
I
yeah.
came on board about 3 years ago, but she's been doing this with the Johnsons for a few years now.
Since I was
Yeah.
about what 15 years old, Miss Tammy has been pushing me every since then. So
That's it.
from writing for the paper, I mean, just
Yeah.
everything. So this is just, I can't be back in Tampa and not be doing something with In Touch News. That just wouldn't be
Right.
right.
That's right.
Amen to that. And so we're going to segue back to our guest who's already told us a little bit about Baton Rouge. But listen, when you were getting ready to leave high school, and I'm thinking back to the draft, and we got to see the draft now virtually, and we're into the homes of these high school players as they're about to make their final selection of where they're going to spend their collegiate careers. So take us to that moment before we get into who this super dude is.
Yeah.
But take us back from high school to making that decision of what college you were going to attend. What cap? You had multiple caps, I'm sure, but before you finally put on that final cap, what was
Yeah.
going through your mind, Michael?
Yeah, I think, Michelle, I'll first say that times have changed. These days, young men in high school, they envision playing in the NFL, and um, they really see themselves as NFL superstars and, or at a big time college. I was fortunate enough to have a humble background. My whole family went to Alcorn State University, a small HBCU in Mississippi. And, my uncle was an offensive coordinator. So I was a ball boy for them when I was a little boy, under 7 years old, all the way up to high school. So I didn't even know about major D1 college football until my junior year in high school. So because my whole life I watched Alcorn State, we watched them everywhere. And then when Steve McNair got to Alcorn and was a Heisman runner-up, that was all I needed to say. If I want to play big-time football, just go to Alcorn. So I actually grew up wanting to go to Alcorn, just never got recruited by them because they felt that I was too good of an athlete. But when I decided to stay at home, my dad helped me with the process. He wanted me to enjoy my days in high school, focus on every day. So he kind of helped manage that. I talked to a few coaches along the way, but I don't remember it being a stressful process
Oh
simply
wow.
because I was going to Florida State. Like Ward Dunn had already set the tone, and he was from Baton Rouge. We played on the same Pop Warner team. I played with Ward's brothers, Travis and Bryson, and
Yeah.
he set the stage for what was, how young black athletes in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, what your future was going to look like, and it was going to Florida State. So it was an easy decision for me. Bobby Bowden comes into my house on Saturday. I'm going to Florida State. And then Nick Saban calls my
Wow.
dad that evening, and he asked if he could come over on that Sunday. I had no
Oh,
idea who Nick Saban was. Um, and he comes into my home. I'll never forget this blue blazer, khaki pants with some penny loafers on with no socks.
oh
And he
my.
spends the whole day with my family and I, and
Yeah.
he really he convinced me to make a decision to stay at home because in Louisiana it was highly racial tensions growing up. If you were a young black kid, you didn't really support LSU. You didn't really know too much about LSU because you had Southern University, which was the
Mhm.
HBCU college in Baton Rouge. So um, we really didn't support LSU growing up, and that's just how it was in Baton Rouge. If you were black, you supported Southern
Right.
University. If you were Caucasian, then you supported LSU. And in our ignorance, that's how it was growing up. And until I knew better, I didn't do better until Coach Saban kind of came in and convinced me that make a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision. And
Wow.
he said that simply because I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I can win a national championship at Florida State. Nobody would care. But if I won
Mm.
a national championship at LSU in Louisiana, I could always come back home. And we made that happen. We won a national championship. And I've always been embraced by my university, by the players who've come after me. just a great deal of respect. And, that was me making my decision to just stay at home. Coach Saban convinced me. I really didn't know much about LSU. So obviously it was something that God had already written that it was supposed to be that way. And which why it was leaning on my heart to make the decision. Nobody in my circle wanted me to go to LSU, by the way. Nobody.
Oh,
And I decided to follow my heart and wanted to stay close home to mama as well, and my dad. And I decided to stay at home and make that decision. Best decision of my life.
best decision. And when you hear a leader like Mr. Saban say something to you, don't look at 4 years, look at a 40-year. Oh my goodness. Even though you played with Warwick Dunn, I'm just listening to all of the parallels coming from your family, coming from Nick Saban, making that final decision. And look, you fast forward and somehow you end up in Tampa Bay. But I think what I love about, and shout out to In Touch News, the fact that we're able to have these podcasts now and we're doing the Zoom thing, that we look at our show, Michael Clayton, as a piece of history. Because 10 years from now, your kids will be talking to someone and they'll say, oh yeah, my dad was on that show. Let's Talk Business with SJC, and Diva J was on there. We get to share this information that we didn't know about, a
Right.
little bit about you growing up. Even in doing the research, you're sharing something that's from within. And now we're able to share that with you and hear that. But guess what? Other families can hear exactly what he said to you, what your parents said to you. And that's really what it's all about. Diva
Right.
J, and she'll come back and talk about your legacy, but we're getting to see a glimpse in where it all started in Baton Rouge. So,
Absolutely.
like you said, God had his hands on you from the very beginning. And you know what? What God has for you is
No
what?
man can take away. That I know. That I know.
And Diva J, what would you add to that?
I mean, I just think it's a story of inspiration, and we haven't even gotten to the great part. All of it's good, but there's so much more there. And so I think your story of having family support is very, very critical. There's a lot of awesome, amazing athletes out there, and I'm sure I'm telling you something you already know, that don't have that family support.
Do
And
Right.
not.
so those decisions of where they want to go sometimes aren't based on those thinking about 40-year versus 4-year type of goals. And so I just think that just speaks to the importance of having a village. We just have to build villages around our young boys and girls, especially our exceptional ones that are getting approached from all different types of
Yeah.
angles, all different types of people, and they don't know who has their best interest in mind. And so
Right.
I think that just tells all of us that we have to really just put our arms around these youth and guide them in the right direction, open their eyes up to possibilities and opportunities that they don't even think about, because
Right.
it can be life changing. And I think it's really good to hear that you had that support. I know what a blessing that is. And so I'm just really happy that that worked out, and that started out very early for you. And so it makes sense as to why now you're such the dynamic leader and mentor that you are to others.
Yeah, I think something else that was so profound growing up playing football is I played in the inner city. I played with the South Baton Rouge Rams, one of the toughest areas in Baton Rouge. But we had the best football team. And what came with having the best football team in Pop Warner is you had the best athletes. So I saw young kids who were bigger than me, better than me, faster than me, that should have lived the same life that I lived, but did not have the parents that I had, did not have the support system that I had, and the loving family members to embrace me and teach me things. And I saw those young men and some young ladies fall by the wayside. So that is what steered my passion towards youth and young adults. Growing up, seeing those athletes, seeing my career and how it all panned out, and knowing that I have a testimony that can go back and touch those lives that will most likely get looked over if they don't have that family dynamic, that strong foundation. So that's what ignited my passion growing up in South Baton Rouge and seeing what I saw.
How very, very important. So hearing Diva J talk about opportunities, hearing you talk about the importance of making the decision to go beyond the 4 years. But during the 4 years, while you were a Tiger, within that period, you received the BCS National Championship for LSU Tigers. What was that, 2003? What was that like?
2003, and I actually only did college 3 years. I
Right?
forewent my senior year and left my after my junior year, and I was drafted to the Bucks in the first round. But playing on a national championship, um, playing in the Superdome, we played the national championship in New Orleans, so it was like a
Ooh.
home game. And for that to be, that day that Saban asked to come to my house on that Sunday, that convinced me to go to LSU, we made goals that we would win a national championship, that what we wanted to do. And he pretty much Coach Saban laid out the game plan of how we would accomplish that. And I was one of those young athletes who was, one of the top of my class, who listened and kind
Yes.
of brought Saban's picture into full view, or gave it life, because I was an echo of what he was saying in the locker room. And for us to win a national championship and for it to all come into fruition, 2 SEC championships and a national title being won in the Superdome. I won a Super Bowl, but winning a national championship for my hometown school is beyond a doubt, the pinnacle of my life, bigger than the Super Bowl, because Louisiana just means so much to me, has taught me so much, and that's what my foundation is. So being able to win a national championship in the Superdome was tremendous for my career.
All right. Well, while we're still talking sports for just a little bit, you did all of that in 3 years, and then all of a sudden you make this very, very important decision that will change your life forever. And you decide. So take us to that moment. You're now the first round draft pick, and you're coming to Tampa Bay to play
Yeah.
with the Buccaneers. What
Yeah,
was that?
I told you that I didn't know about major D1 college football until my junior year, because I had a humble background. My whole family went to Alcorn State University. And when I was drafted, I didn't know that I was going to be foregoing my senior year until the night of the national championship game. Coach
Oh,
Saban calls me in his room
wow.
and he says, I don't know who your quarterback is going to be next year. I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. And my sources are telling me you're going to be a first round draft pick and you need to leave. So
Oh,
I was like, oh my God, I just played my last game. So it all happened very quickly for me. And the crazy thing is I signed with an agency, IMG, and I was training out in Bradenton
okay.
before the draft. Me and Eli Manning lived together for about a few months. And we were coming to Tampa every weekend, staying with a buddy of ours, Drew Henson, who was Tom Brady's backup, or Tom Brady's other quarter in Michigan State. They shared time. Drew Henson. So it's a crazy story. But lo and behold, they saw my tape training at Bradenton down there. Doug Williams, who's from Louisiana, knew my
Yes.
background. He recruited me when he was at Grambling. I dated his niece when I was in high school. So he was he was very familiar with me as a football player, and he was one of the main reasons why I was drafted to Tampa. He stood up on the table for me and convinced John Gruden that I was the best pick. And John Gruden drafted me at the 15th pick. One of the best times of my life. A young man at 21 years old signing a $12 million contract. That's when it all came into fruition. All of the hard work throughout your whole life playing football since you were 7 years old. On that day, it all kind of
Wonderful.
came into full circle.
Wow, that's a lot. And you know what? One of our listeners posed a question, and since you're talking about it, and we're about to get into the next level, having done that, because you came here, you played for Tampa Bay. I think you have a few records out there that athletes are still trying to surpass. And so that was nothing but a gift. And so you take us from there, you decide you're coming here, and the names that you're calling out, we're certainly passionate about Doug Williams, but we appreciate all the other athletes that have crossed your path that you now know today and in their own right. Sounds like they had a little Nick Saban, because they could talk about their path to the 40-year goal. But as we do that, we do want to talk to you because the Super Bowl is here. There's this, and that was our hot topic today, Super Bowl. And we're going to get into you. We're still talking about the man, but we're going to get into the mogul of the man and the mission, because you talked about your foundation and you're just not going to just let that just slip by like my foundation is in Baton Rouge. But let's talk about this now. So you Michael Clayton played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then now you're playing with another team. And while you're playing with that team, something phenomenal happens. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was. I like to tell people I was actually fired from Tampa Bay, and I took a small stint and played 3 games in the UFL, which was like a semi-pro league.
Yes.
And I thought my NFL career was over with, but God said not yet. And I was picked up by the New York Football Giants. Played 2 seasons after thinking my football career was over with. Played 2 seasons with the Giants and ended up winning the Super Bowl in 2011. So it was a journey of a lifetime. I remember very clearly that that time in my life is when my spiritual journey really started to really take action. I've been a Christian my whole life, had always read the Bible and known the Word, but I was lost at that moment in time, and I was trying to find my foundation and find my compass
All
and
right.
my direction in life. And I just had decided to be obedient to God and do what He was asking me to do. And when I was in New York, I became this spiritual leader for my teammates and was praying before we took the field. And we had these, player only meetings that were, spiritual meetings. And I just really grew into my own and really saw how I could connect with what I like to call them. They were strangers to me because I wasn't drafted to the Giants. They were strangers to me, but they embraced the person that I was, and it was the person that God created. And I liked how they perceived me, and I've never changed since then. And then to add that we won an actual Super Bowl, and I was a leader who was saying, this is the year we're going to win a Super Bowl. And, to God put that on my heart, and I was obedient, telling them, hey, we got to be better fathers, got to be better husbands, got to be better teammates, got to hold each other accountable. Can't hang out all night at the bars. If you marry, you need to, we got to set standards. We got to do what's right. We got to hold each other accountable. All of these things are things that I was talking about. If you want to win a Super Bowl, this is what we have to do. And guys actually bought in to the tune that every day it was a testimony. It was a story about a decision that one of the players made that was a better decision than they were making before I arrived in New York. So it was a journey that was destined for me to grow. I've always taken that journey as an example of when you're obedient to God, the great things that can happen in your life and the doors that He can open. And me experiencing that, like I won a national championship in college. Now I was winning a Super Bowl in the pros, winning the pinnacle of success on both levels. Not too many athletes have done that. And to be able to experience that with a great team, great coach, great atmosphere in New York was an experience of a lifetime. And one of the best feelings in the world was to be able to give my dad a Super Bowl ring.
Yes.
Just like I gave him my college national championship ring, and he wears it proudly to this day. And so just a great thing to witness a father being proud of his son, and being able to give him that token of appreciation was meant the world to me.
Diva J, we don't even have to now ask the question. We know what it felt like, your journey taking you to, oh my goodness, changing the trajectory of your life. And here you are, can speak about the Super Bowl and the feeling and what that all means. And here we are today, 2021, Tampa Bay, getting ready to host the Super Bowl 55. We're going to get ready and break for commercial. So sit tight, but I do want to hear from Diva J within the next 30 seconds. Diva J, what say you? Then we'll break for commercial and come back to hear more about now the mogul, Michael Clayton. Diva J.
Michael, you just hit on some key things. I think, if there are Bucks players listening, preparing themselves for the Super Bowl, it's more than football. It's getting your whole self together. And I think that is so dynamic, to hear that you were just simply walking in your purpose. And that way you were able to influence not just yourself, but your team speaks volumes. So I hope that we got some players out there listening, trying to get their minds right. Look, get out the club, do what you need to do, pray, focus. Let's get ready because game day is coming, baby. So I think that was awesome. So I hope that you're continuing to spread that knowledge, not just with guys who are playing right now, but with athletes all around. When you're getting ready for something, you got to get it together. And it's more than just what's in front of you. When everything around you, when your spirit is in line, when you know that you and God are vibing, there's no feeling like that. So that is just amazing. I think that's awesome tip to give anyone trying to get it together.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a break and more with Super Bowl champ Michael Clayton. Back in a moment.
Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
And we are back with Super Bowl champ Michael Clayton. Home, you've decided to make Tampa Bay your home, but we know your real home is in Baton Rouge. So to our Facebook family, to our social media family, our In Touch News YouTubers who've taken the time to join us on the show today, if you're just tuning in, you know the face already. And let me just say this to you, Michael and Diva J, you will appreciate this. My host of the fourth hour of the show is El Diva. She owns a fashion boutique, and she would just love to be able to chime in. But one of our viewers said, "Oh, Michael Clayton, I love Michael Clayton. I love watching him on Studio Live." And then she goes on to say she hadn't seen you in a while, but what she appreciated about you was your GQ style. And look at those colors today.
Yes, well, it's I do a little speech and I talk about the 5 wells of life.
Okay.
Being well read, well spoken, well dressed. All right, well traveled and well balanced, but definitely being well dressed, making sure that that the way that you look speaks volumes, says everything about you when you walk into a room. And I've just learned to distinguish yourself. That you mean business. It doesn't matter where you are. If you dress well and dress to impress, people will look at you and respect you differently if you don't pay attention to it. So I like to add that to my repertoire. I want to teach young people that this is, I've learned that doors have opened to me because I show up sometimes at grocery stores wearing a suit. And I'm not mad, and I'm not afraid to step out, and look the best in the room. And that's what it's all about. I remember working at Channel 10, and if I went to the bathroom, I would put my tie on and I would put my jacket on because when people saw me in the hallway, I wanted them to know that I meant business and I had a brand to build. And that's what it was all about. So I appreciate all of the comments of people recognizing the effort to dress well.
Well, I'm going to agree, and that viewer's name is Sandra, and I'm going to agree with her. My husband is all about GQ and fashion, so you are on point, sir. And I like those
Yes.
5 points. I guess we'll see that coming in the next book. But we're going to have Diva J come in because she's our marketing guru, our brand expert, and we've seen you made that transition from the world of professional athlete, and then that whole business acumen. You'll have to share with us how you made that switch after almost a decade playing professional ball. But I do want to ask a question from another one of our viewers while we're talking about football. And that being said, the question is, well, there's two, and DBJ, if you'll let me get both of these in. Should these young collegiate athletes be paid according to the money they're bringing into their universities? Michael.
Um, that's a tough one. I do think that all college athletes should be paid. Uh, the repercussions of that is that universities who make more money can pay their athletes more money, and then you'll see other colleges begin to dissolve their programs because athletes won't want to go there because they'll make decisions based upon money.
Okay.
So then when you look at schools like HBCUs who may not be able to give their athletes a lot of money, athletes may not take those opportunities to go to those types of schools. So they're good and bad. I'm a former player, yes. I got paid $215. I had a child at 19 I had to take care of. $215 was nowhere near the amount of money that I needed to take care of a child at 19 years old. And I had to work outside of, everything else that I was doing. I had to, wake up very early and go to work, clock in 3 hours a day. And just at the end of the day, at the end of the week, have 12 hours so I can add a couple of $100 more. So that made me a better person, though, honestly. It made me more responsible. But the reality is that, we live in the new times. I know the type of money that colleges are making now. I didn't know that back then. And I do believe every athlete should get paid, and they all should get paid the same amount. They all should get paid the same amount. Every college needs to put in. You don't need, if you go to a big university, you shouldn't be getting thousands of more dollars. It should be one amount for every school in the country. That way it's an even playing field. And if I can make it with a child off of $215, then they should be okay with making $1,000. And if they're fortunate enough to make it to the pros, then hey, they can make some big bucks then. But I do believe athletes should get paid, but it's how they give. I think everybody should get paid the same, so we protect all of our universities to make sure that athletes kind of keep an open mind on where they want to go to school. Because it doesn't matter where you go to school to make it to the pros. You just got to have great people around you.
All right. And he said that with such conviction and such passion. And if you're going to pay them, but make it all equal. Because my next question and part two of that question would have been, hey, if they were not making it equal, then there would have to be, financial managers coming in order to be able to help those young athletes. Many of them may have even come from poverty or broken homes. And all of a sudden, you've got this, endowment of money. Diva J, let's talk about the business mogul.
Well, I think one of the things that is really amazing about your story that not many or a lot can say, but not everyone as a professional athlete, you were able to transition. And I think that plan B, even if it's not at the onset of thinking about going to NFL, but throughout your matriculation through that process, you came out still with a plan. Yeah. So I want you to share with us about your thought process when you went from after being an athlete, going into the media industry, going into entertainment. How did that transition happen for you? Was it natural? Was it something you thought about, or was it through an opportunity? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, I would be more, it would be easier for me to say it was natural, but my daddy planted that seed in me a long time ago. He owned properties back in the day, and I used to ride with him as a kid, and him going to fix, plumbing at one of his properties. And he also worked, 16-hour shifts, had a full-time job. So those things that I saw him do were things on the side. And those things were necessary for us to have those things that we needed because we didn't have a lot of money. But, you know, my dad made some good decisions and was able to capitalize. So I've always positioned myself and known that, you know, watching my daddy work 16-hour shifts, watching my daddy hustle through properties, that's what I wanted to do. So when I got my first check, when I got drafted, I started building homes at 21, you know, with my dad and my family. Created a family business and started building homes to learn how to buy land and where to buy, what's the price in building, what's the process of building a home from the ground up. And once I did that about 5 or 6 times, I knew that I could take, you know, I didn't need a construction degree or license, or I didn't need a real estate license to be active in real estate. So I just figured out a way how to do little things, not trying to make $1 million, but just trying to be profitable and making sure that once I left, retired from the NFL, that I was debt free. And now I had everything paid for and I could do pretty much anything that I wanted to maintain my lifestyle. So it was doing what was necessary. So when I left, when I left, the NFL, it was remodeling homes, buying, remodeling homes. I'm working for the guys who working for me. I'm learning. I'm on roofs. I'm learning how to lay floors. I'm learning how to frame, how to use my hands just in case I need to use my hands to make the transition to provide for my family. That number is 85% of guys go broke 3 years after you retire. It doesn't matter how much money you made. That number has only gone up. All right. It's only gone up since the past 15 years. And for that number to be 85% of guys go broke 3 years after you finish playing, no matter how much money you make, it's ridiculous when they have so many things that you can do to make easy transition. That's simply getting off your butt and being willing enough to utilize your hands. When I started my roof cleaning business, I was a little bit embarrassed at first 8 years ago in Baton Rouge. What is this former professional athlete doing cleaning driveways, cleaning roofs? It was embarrassing for me. But now after 8 years, we're the #1 soft washing company in Baton Rouge, and we make $500,000 a year easy and keep 8 to 10 guys full-time salaries, full-time employees. And those are guys who at a lot of times needed a second chance in life. Some of them have had criminal records that needed that full-time job to be their very best self. And now they've been working for me for 6 years and have families that they support. So I saw my dad go to work every day. That's what made my transition easy. I knew that I had the mindset and I had already gotten over my embarrassment that I was going to do anything that was necessary to earn and provide for my family. And I've done that. I've done real estate. I do roof cleaning, and now I do media. Taking advantage of my opportunity. I was always naturally talented at just talking. Coach Saban made us take some media classes at LSU when I was a freshman. I was the only freshman to this day, Coach Saban's only freshman ever allowed to speak to the media in his career.
Wow.
And that speaks volumes. The greatest college coach in the world had a standard that he did not let freshmen talk to the media. He made an exception for me because he knew that I knew how to take care of myself. I knew how to handle myself. And plus, I did very well. And I was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So learning how to respect him, making sure I didn't mess up that privilege, taught me how to speak properly to the media, how to articulate, and how to do all of those things right. And I've done so many things to kind of perfect my craft in both radio and TV and interviews and things of that nature. So whenever you get in a position where you can do a little of everything and you can earn and provide for yourself, and I will probably never punch a clock unless somebody's offering me a money that I can't turn down. I promise you, I'll never be punching the clock for somebody else because I've already paid the price of working hard, and I know how to go out and earn for myself and serve others and earn for others. And like I'm at home. My babysitter called in sick on Monday, and now I'm at home doing daddy duty. Got my girls in there sleeping. So like little things like that are very important so that you're present in your family time, you're present at home, you can fill in the gaps where, the wife is working. I'm able to do certain things now because I don't have to punch the clock. And that transition has happened successfully because of my father, the example that he set.
Wow, I think that is amazing. That is amazing. And it goes back to that village. And, for me, one of my kind of frustrations has been that 85%. I've had friends who have, whether they had long careers or short careers in the NFL, they had money. And so when I see them now and I'm like, you don't got a house, it just really makes me like, So is there anything that the community can do? Because see, I see this as the NFL has tons of men of color who are put almost instantaneously in different financial brackets. And oftentimes I wonder, is there something I can do to help these guys really sustain what this could mean, not just for themselves, but for their families, for their communities? So for people like me who wonder that, what would your answer be? What would it take? Or is this a personal decision made within each player?
Yeah, it goes twofold. It's twofold. First and foremost, it's up to the player. I tell every guy who has been blessed with the opportunity to play in the National Football League, don't take the brand for granted. You wear that tag and that tag means something. So use it to your benefit. Don't get in the mindset where you're too good to sign autographs, you're too good to shake hands, kiss babies. Because that hand you shake, that baby you kiss, that picture you take, you never know what door that's going to open for you 15 years down the road. Because that brand is so special, that picture that you take is going to be on somebody's refrigerator for 20 years. And you're going to be their favorite player because you had the right mental disposition to give them a moment or give them a memory for a lifetime. And I can't tell you how many people I've met to say, you were my favorite football player. Well, I didn't have a tremendous football career. Now, I got to say that I tried my best to be a tremendous person. And that is why people say that's my favorite player. He reached out. He had this moment with my son. My son is 32 years old now, but here's a picture of Michael Clayton picking him up when he was 4 years old at training camp. All right, makes me feel old every time these things happen. All right, but that's what it's all about. So I tell guys, utilize the brand. Shake hands, kiss babies, take pictures, sign autographs. You never know who's going to open the door. And that's worked for me. 15 years down the line, I've had people open the doors to me to tunes of $50,000, $100,000 deals, $1 million opportunities simply because I gave them a memory of a lifetime. It was special to them. And then to add on, I believe the person that God made me to be, all of that combined makes people want to help you out. So you can do that for yourself as a player. Now, as a community member, what can you do for the player? It is utilizing those players who have a testimony, who have a story, who have a life lesson, bringing them on your platforms, getting their stories out, making sure that if you are a person that's in the media, that that negativity sells. And a lot of times these players have been bartered with negative media. So as a media member myself and as a former player who went through that, I make sure that I know what stories to tell about these players that will, like Ms. Cheryl said, last for a lifetime. You utilize this platform to talk about the positive things that those guys do in their community. You put it out there, and that's going to always be out there. And it will combat some of the negative news or a lot of the negative news that we see on football players, because we'll get 1 or 2, 3 bad stories, but that shouldn't spoil it for the whole bunch. There are 100 times more good players and good people in the National Football League than there are those sour apples. So the media members and people like yourself can also reach out to those athletes, put them on your platforms, invite them to your events, hire them to speak publicly and to do those things, utilizing them to tell their stories so that our kids, when I walk into an elementary school, middle school, or college, kids are silent for 2 hours while I speak. All right. And part of that is because of my passion, but part of that is because of the brand. I played in the National Football League. I'm on TV, and people automatically respect that. So utilize that if you have an opportunity to bring a player on your platforms to teach our kids. They hone in, they tune in, they listen to former athletes, they listen to those people who've been on TV. So you can utilize that and help the players out in that way as well.
Love it.
And Diva J, I agree with what he said. You and I are both passionate about Black-owned business. I mean, I'm the publisher of DSI Black Pages. And let me tell you, Michael is true. When he and I first connected, it wasn't the football arena and the brand. We were both guest speakers at a local church in Sefner. And he was speaking about his career for a moment, but then he immediately transitioned and he flipped out that business card to me. And I went all into supporting Black businesses. But that's what our conversation was about. We were both at that event. We were both talking about our passion and what we could do in the positions that we were in supporting our own, Black-owned businesses. And that's really how our friendship began. We fast forward some years. We were both in another media platform. And I was like, well, guess who has a show now? And then Michael had a show. And I told him, I said, well, you might be a guest on my show. Who knew it was going to take so long to get him over here as a podcaster? But building those relationships, as you would say, Diva J, we were both in the room and we approached each other about what we were doing and what we could do to help. Michael probably doesn't even remember that because he's on so many different platforms. But that's how we first began communicating. And you, being the marketing guru that you are, always say to us, doesn't matter what room you're in, but what, Diva J?
Who you meet in the room and who meets you.
Make sure
Absolutely.
they know you are in the room. So be present.
I agree. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know sometimes.
Now, Diva, you've got to transition him because there's so much about him, and we wanted him to talk about that passion about his career. And it always goes back to just having that great foundation. And again, kudos to your parents, to the coaching leaders who allow you to see something different. I know there's another course, and we as African Americans, we hear this a lot. Oh, you're so well spoken. What the heck does that mean? So, we know because we've heard it over and over again. A lot of it just has to do with, our upbringing and our training. And yes, some of it is educational as well. But this guy comes out of there, creates his own business. Shame. There's no shame when you take that check to the bank, my brother.
Right.
But let's segue because here we are, and the three of us can talk. Let me ask you, do you have a contract with the NFL Super Bowl coming down this weekend? Is your business participating in any of that, Michael Clayton?
I don't have a specific contract. Now, I am doing some stuff with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society or the American Cancer Society, doing some things of that nature. But I don't have a, so to speak, contract.
That's on the media side of who you are and what you do, but you're also a business mogul as well. And I know, DBJ, you heard segments because we have to talk about his book. We talked about, and my admit, if you will put that logo up again, we wanted to find out, how did you name your brand? Because DBJ always tells us, give some thought into what's going in that logo because that's who you are. So tell us a little bit about that. And DBJ, you can take it from there.
Yeah, well, the Michael Clayton Live brand was created simply because, I feel like every time that I'm producing some content, I have a passion. I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. So we all the way live. So if I'm live and I'm saying something, it's saying I'm going to benefit you. Or saying something that's beneficial to the world, at least that's my opinion. So Michael Clayton Live was created simply because we get live. We're not just live, but we also get live, and it's about entertaining and all of that. My brand from my foundation, my Generation Next Foundation, it speaks for itself. It was about the next generation. I talked about playing in South Baton Rouge and seeing those kids fall by the wayside because they didn't have the support system that I had. Well, giving back to that next generation. So I've partnered with Change the Game Generation, and we're building a school in St. Pete as we speak, being able to gather resources where it wouldn't be possible to do this in a 3-month time if somebody else was doing it. But because I've been here for such a long time and I know so many people, I'm able to call on a contractor, electrical engineer, and all of these things that will do things pro bono for these kids. and I can advocate for them to where people will lend their resources for free, and we can take a lump sum of money and put it into the technology that we're giving these kids and make sure that they have the best technology available. So, those things are important. So you're right on that. Your brand is everything. When it all comes down to it, and then the mic'd up on Monday mornings was just a play on words. Mike, I use my name MIK apostrophe ED. You mic'd up, just always throwing in my personal brand. I always feel like it's important not to get lost in so many businesses. Some people will say it's not good to put your name on your business. That doesn't work for some people, and then it does work for others. I believe that because I'm a personal servant in this community, anything that my name is attached to, I feel that people will recognize me from my service, from a speaking engagement, from me talking to their kids at a school, from me playing football or something. So it's beneficial for me to have my name on the things that I'm doing, on some things. My roof cleaning business is called the Green Tiger. All right. The Green Tiger. All right. Brandon is everything. Well, I played at LSU. So I won a national championship at LSU, won a Super Bowl. So when we come up to clean your house, from every crook and cranny in your house, from the roof to the driveway, I'm coming to give you a championship clean. All right, we're coming to clean every single spot. Like, your house is gonna be a new house when we leave. It's called the Green Tiger because I played for the LSU Tigers, and that reminds me, every time I'm on a site, we have to be great. So I got the big Green Tiger, that representing for my roof cleaning business. So it's a little bit of everything. I got a lot of things going on, but it's what's necessary in order for me to work for myself and provide for my family. But you're right about that. Branding is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the story behind every brand. I think that's what it takes. Some of it speaks for itself. It's good for people to be able to see it, relate to it, feel it. I tell people a brand isn't just something you see, it's something you feel. How does it make you feel? And so to hear your expression behind each brand just totally, totally makes sense. And I think another thing, because you have so many brands, one of the questions I always get asked by clients or potential clients is, how do you divvy that up? And so if you could just talk very briefly about the management of it, because I think one thing people have to understand is that you can have these different capacities to who you are, to your different brands, but it has to have some unique management, time management, things of that sort, organization. So just very briefly for our viewers, because I think it can provide some people with some insight, how do you go about managing the different facets of your brands?
Yeah, I had to learn how to manage. At one point in my career, I was doing too much. I was trying to do everything that I'm doing right now, and I was trying to do it on my own. And I wasn't getting to where I wanted to go or making the impact that I felt that I could make, simply because I was being pulled in so many different ways. So a lot of it is about having the right people around you to help facilitate your dreams, and making sure that you do a proper business plan to where you're making money, but the people who are serving you and working for you are also making good money too. You can't be selfish and trying to make all the money. Like, the people who work for you got to be passionate about coming to work for you every single day. So I pay people top dollar when they work for me, because I want my brand to be treated. I want you to treat my brand like it's your brand. So I've learned that I'm better at business when I have the right minds in place to facilitate the dreams that I want to happen. So you don't necessarily have to do everything. You need great people around you to facilitate your dream, and you got to have a business plan to make sure that it makes financial sense. Since I opened up my roof cleaning business, I have to be on site on 95% of the sites right now, because it's our second location. And I got to make sure that we don't burn up people's plants, and we don't do the things that we did in my first year, and now the things we don't do in year 8, So I got to make sure that when I'm training my crew in Tampa, that I'm on the site, so I can't do all of the things that I used to do simply because right now I'm trying to build the Green Tiger, my roof cleaning business. So it's knowing when you can push, it's knowing how to push when you get an opportunity. But the greatest asset that I've ever had is making sure that I had the people around me to facilitate my dreams, and those people have been beneficial for me.
Well, I think that's the story.
On that note, to Michael Clayton, Super Bowl champ, we're here, we're hosting the historical Super Bowl 55, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We would love to say, Michael, what does that mean? How should we feel? But we have heard it all coming from you, from your experience. So on behalf of Let's Talk Business with SJC, my co-host, Diva J, we thank you for sharing this experience with us. We'll see you back again, and we look forward to having you back again. But today's show, and to our Facebook family and our social media family, this show is a wrap. Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.